part of being in that class?
That you're not allowed in.
What's the best part of being part of the club?
Exclusivity, that's what he said.
What?
You all know him, right? Lifelong friendships. I've known Colin over half my life.
Wow, yes.
And that doesn't happen on most jobs that you pop into for a year or so, 2 years, 3 years. You lose touch with people, but because we get to do these conventions and be a part of this group at whatever point, you meet people from New Who, and I get to know people from the generation that I watched on television, and we become friends. We discover that we have more than Doctor Who in common. We have other things in common, and we become friends, and we may not have the time to always see each other between conventions, but we always make the time to catch up at conventions somehow. And that is, I mean, I have to thank Doctor Who for my dearest friend.
Look at me, Paul.
Okay, my answer.
For most of you, Doctor Who.
Oh, no, carry on.
Oh, okay.
No, I just...
Oh, I thought we were all giving an answer, sorry.
Okay, go.
No pressure, no pressure. I used to, when I was a stand-up comic many years ago, I had a bit of material, and it was about the idea that when you're waiting for somebody, and they're, for me anyway, if I'm waiting for somebody and they're 5 minutes late, my brain immediately goes, well, they're obviously dead. I've just got one of those brains, but not only that, while I'm waiting for them, I'll go through the scenario and think, okay, what's going to happen next is the police are going to come and talk to you about the fact that they're dead. And because you were waiting for them, you haven't got an alibi for their murder. And you're going to end up in prison. And they're 10 minutes late and I'm already trying to figure out how I'm going to avoid Mr. Big in the showers. The point being that I've always thought like that. I've thought like that since I was a child. I've always been thinking, what would I do if zombies came into this room now? That's always where my brain goes. I'm always thinking of obscure things and monsters. Even if I didn't work for Doctor Who, I'd still be the odd guy thinking odd thoughts about monsters. And the lovely thing about Doctor Who is, it's my job now. I can think nonsense all day long and it's tax deductible.
I just wanted to say something about when you said that the family include, never mind about our side of the club. Our side of the club is great because what you do when you become a professional at this stuff is that you start to see secrets. And I love analysing things, as you probably all realise over the last years, that to watch actors with their guard down, with you not here, working, to watch scriptwriters working, to see a producer saying, this is what I want, and to see the whole thing coming together, and to realise that actually what they're doing is incredibly difficult. And when it works, my God, I'm glad I'm in the pilot's seat at the back watching. I want to have a t-shirt that says innocent bystander. All I've done is watch people work. And when you see the good ones work, oh my God, it's something you'll never see. And I'm sorry you can't, because no matter how open we are here, we're still performing. But when you see an actor who's in trouble, figuring it out, oh, it's magic, it's magic.
And my serious answer is, we're all in the same club actually. It's just that we're flying first class and you're
Could you, each of you, talk about the first day on the first job you had?
First day on the first job.
Yeah.
I was working in the hardware shop in... You don't mean that job, do you? I had a weekend job in a hardware shop. I loved it, nails and screws. First day of the first job. First acting job. My first acting job was Plaintiff in a Pretty Hat, which was a kind of drawing room comedy, 1969, 13th of April, the Cambridge Arts Theatre, with an actress called Jill Brown, who was in Emergency Ward 10, and a lovely actor called Norman Wooland, who was Horatio to Olivier's Hamlet in the film. And it was my first job. I'll give you the second day, because the first day was the first night and I was terrified, but got through it. Then I relaxed. On the second night, I was standing in the wings and there was a sudden silence on stage. And the silence went on, and I was the next person to enter. So I thought, I've blown it already, I'm late! And I rushed on stage saying, Father, are you in there? Which was my line. And I realised I was 2 pages too early. Because the actor playing my father was kissing my girlfriend. Something I was not supposed to know about. So my father said, go away. Being an experienced actor, the inexperienced actor, oh, sorry. And I went off and I waited for my actual cue, which I heard, and I came on. And he said, what was all that about? Which was not a line. Speak up, I can't hear you. Because when you're not very experienced and you're improvising, you tend not to give it the welly you should. So he made me improvise for about 10 lines each about why I'd come on, and the fact that I hadn't seen anything, had I? And I learned more in that 10 minutes than I'd learned in 3 years at drama school. That was my first experience. That's all. There's no more.
My first acting job was my first day's filming Planet of Fire. But before my first day of filming Planet of Fire of Doctor Who, I did a job which they wouldn't consider would be an acting job, which is just the interview on BBC Breakfast TV, in which you are interviewed as the actress who's going to be the new companion. However, I had to pretend I was American. So therefore I consider that to be my first acting job. Because I had to go on television to however many millions of viewers watch Breakfast TV and sound completely different from the way I had sounded all my life, and I was just waiting for the phone to ring, somebody I went to school with, my neighbour, a relative, somebody to ring up and go, what's going on? She's a fake! You know? So I spent the whole time just like, this is not going to end well. I looked like I was nervous about getting the job, and I was doing that giggly thing, but actually I just thought, any minute now this is all just going to blow up. So that was kind of my first acting job.
I was thrown in the deep end with my first acting job. It was a big picture called A Prayer for the Dying, with Bob Hoskins, Alan Bates, Mickey Rourke, directed by Mike Hodges, who directed Get Carter. Do you remember Get Carter?
Yeah.
I was 21, and my first day, we all get picked up, obviously, and got picked up and driven to Park Street in Mayfair, which is really a top drawer area in London. You know, it is on the Monopoly board. Everybody wants Mayfair and Park Lane. So I got taken there, and it confused me because it's based on the book. It was based on the book by Jack Higgins, A Prayer for the Dying, and I played the young prostitute in it. And she lived in a council flat apartment with and drove a minicar. Well, I got there and it was Mayfair, and I said, I thought I had a council flat. They said, no, you're high class now. You haven't got, I said, what about the mini car? No, you haven't got a mini, you've got a big Mercedes. So, I thought, crikey. Anyway, somebody had to take me out and teach me to drive anyway, because I hadn't passed my test. I had to drive Mickey Rourke around in a big Mercedes and pretend I could drive. Can you imagine? I didn't know. But,
My God.
yeah, it was really scary. It was really scary, but absolutely brilliant. And I met my husband on that show as well.
You're married to Mickey Rourke?
No, I married, actually he was really awful to me in the film. He raped me in the film, it was terrible. But anyway, we got married, so it's all fine now.
I'm supposed to follow that. So. My first sort of proper writing gig, I was still doing stand-up, and my agent got me a gig writing for the American version of Family Feud, sorry, the British version of Family Feud, which is called Family Fortunes. I also did Catchphrase. I don't know if you have Catchphrase here. Yeah. I did both of those, one after the other, one season. And
did you?
I did. It's not on my CV anyway. You won't find it anywhere on the net. It's probably going to appear now after this, I'm sure. But part of it was, day one was effectively me showing the director that I had the chops and that I could write jokes for the host. So the idea was that I would write the opening monologue for the host and then a one-liner for after the break. And I polished this monologue to within an inch of its life, and I made sure it had 3 punchlines in it, and it was lyrical and wonderful and just the best thing I'd ever written. And I handed it to the director, and he went, "Well, if they're all as good as that, we'll be laughing." And I just went, "Oh, you fucking idiot." Sorry for the F word. But I just thought, I've ruined it for myself now. He's going to expect every single one to be that good. And yeah, that was my first day. And I realised then, always follow the contract. Never do more than you need to for any job. Because otherwise they'll expect it every day.
I was always enamored with the magic, and even when I was at film school, I used to walk, somebody would say, go and deliver this film to Water Street, and I used to walk up and down the street hoping people would see me with the film can and think, oh, he's in the business. So when I finally got a job in the BBC, we were sent out to various locations, and my first location was Ealing Film Studios. Now, first of all, it's Ealing Film Studios, right? One of my lecturers at film school directed Scott of the Antarctic. I thought, this is going to be a magical experience. It cannot be not magical. It's going to be, in fact, it's going to be terrible. I'm going to walk in, it's going to be filthy and dirty, and I walked in, first of all, a camel passed me by, and I thought, I'm in the film business. And then I was up in the cutting room, and they did what assistant film editors do. The film editor said to the trainee in me, here's a film can, it's empty, go and get 3 cups of coffee from the canteen. So I was the tea boy, right? So I walked down the stairs thinking, oh dear, this is supposed to be romantic. And at the bottom of the stairwell are 4 guys dressed in red, and they're having an argument. And they're clerical, they're kind of priests. Yeah. And I went and got the coffee, and I came back, and I thought, who are those guys? And nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Okay, this is our last question, and we got to do it a little bit quickly.
Okay, and it's a good one. It's for Colin. Colin, I'm very impressed by your ability to remember such detail. And I'm a big fan of your non-Doctor Who work. You delivered what I believe to be the greatest line of dialogue in the history of television in the pilot for Jonathan Creek. And I'm hoping you remember what it was. You were talking on the phone to your lover, and she was asking you what you wanted her to do. And you said, no? I want you to come over here and make me bark like a sea lion. How did you forget that?
I couldn't hear everything you were saying. That was the very first episode of Jonathan Creek. And I was the first person to die with Jonathan Creek. And I was this over-the-top artist who was painting these huge murals of large Rubens-esque nude ladies. And yes, there was that conversation. I want you to come over here and make me bark like a dog. Seal. Sea lion. Yeah, I get all the good parts.
I have forgotten you should have said I could do that with a look.
And the other reason I loved that particular story was that the girl who killed me was a very glamorous model. She was the sister of another model, very well known. She was a beautiful woman. And she killed me because she was jealous because I'd gone off with somebody else. And they cast me in that part. That's one of my favourite roles ever for that reason.
Okay, well, that's almost the end of our time. And I want to say thank you all for coming this weekend and making such a